blown the speakers good and proper on my van. So I guess today's video is going to be covering a front speaker change on a VW T5. Here we go. Right, the first thing I'm going to do here is fondle all around the outside of the door looking for the screws here. They're under here, 3 of them. We're going to have to get to the screws under the door handle. Also going to have to take the window winder off and the door handle. First of all, need to get rid of all this junk. To get started, we're probably going to need a posi drive, maybe a flat blade screwdriver, and these Torx come in very handy with any kind of Volkswagen. And actually this couldn't be any less handy, as I can't really turn it all the way around, so I'm not going to bore you with struggling to get these out. Maybe if this was a bit longer that'd be better, but yeah, undo all of these screws underneath. There's 3 of them. There should be another screw, as far as I know it's going to be a Torx, in the middle of the door panel, right about there, and on mine it's actually missing, so that's one I don't need to get out. It's right there. The next thing we're going to remove is the window winder. In under the handle, you can push it up and it actually just unclips, and that allows the handle to come off. The hidden screws that are around the handle somewhere, if you've got a longer handle on the door, there'll probably be a piece of trim in the middle that pops off. And on this particular one, it's actually the handle we grab hold of, and you've got to be careful because you don't want to break it, and it should just pop up. It's got a load of clips there. The last one I had was broken and glued on, and I bought that cheap. 2 posi heads, or cross heads, whatever you want to call them, and it should just be a simple case of unscrewing those with a large enough screwdriver. Now that we've got the 2 screws there off the door handle, the screw in the middle just under here, and the 3 along the bottom of, it should be fairly easy. Now just check around the edge of the trim that there's no other screws, and there isn't. Sometimes these unscrew if they're bigger to allow this off, but that doesn't unscrew, that one's fixed. And then quite often there's a load of press poppers that actually push into the metalwork in the plastic, and what they tend to do is actually just break. So you really want to be quite easy when you pry this off, and you can just see the popper there. It kind of pops into that hole, and you know, they're meant to be reusable, but you generally find they do break off, and you can buy replacement ones. They do pop out, and you can buy them off the web, but they are quite costly, and to be honest, once you put the screws in, generally holds it all together nicely anyway. So now I should just be able to liberate this door panel from the bottom, pull that out, and then don't forget the hook up here. We're going to try and hook that over. One thing to bear in mind before you do that, there's probably a cable attached to the back of the handle here, so we don't want to just rip the panel away. What we're going to have to do is gently remove it and then try and disconnect a cable off the back of this hook without breaking anything. Here we go. The top of the panel is actually hooked in along here, so it should just slide up. There it goes. And if I'd taken the screws out, it would have made it easier. Right, we're away. So what I'm going to do now is show you down the back and actually unlinking this cable. There is a bit of play in the cable, so you can remove the panel quite a bit to get in there and have a look. And then what we need to do is unclip that piece and pull that out, and then we can undo this hook from the back of the handle. Now the panel should be free to be removed. There's one more actually. There is a little connector here which runs the LED for the lock. So just squeeze that and it comes off like that. Now be aware, if you've got electric windows or anything like that, you're going to have additional wiring that needs sorting out there. Okay, so here we have our speakers, and yeah, they actually look fairly recent, and I'm wondering why they've blown. Let's get in there and have a look. Now, it turns out I must have replaced these speakers in the last year or so, but I don't actually remember replacing them, which is a bit worrying. I say I must have done it because there is a 3D printed spacer here, so these are not the originals, and they're also not the original size. I have a feeling they are slightly smaller than the original ones, and therefore this adapter has been made. Bear in mind, I'd recommend you get your speakers out first and measure them up and then try and find some the same size, because if they are the same size they should fit much easier. There's another couple of issues to consider, and that is the depth of the speaker. If your window winds down, so you might want to put the handle on, wind the window down, you want to check that the back end of the speaker is not going to clip on the window. As you can see, as we bring the window down, it's literally right there. And let's unscrew the speaker and have a look and see if it's actually blown. If the speaker hasn't blown, then what's happened is either a wire in the door has broken, possibly in the rubber part that goes between the door and the body, or it's possible that we've actually blown the amplifier on our stereo, and if that's the case, it will be a new stereo. Let's hope that's not the case. So we'll unscrew this, and then what we'll do is we'll use our multimeter to actually check whether this speaker's any good or not. Well, here we are back in the lab, and what we're going to do is check the continuity of this speaker. So there's our meter. We pull it into that mode, that annoying mode that beeps. Let's flip this over, find our contacts, put some probes on the contacts, and we have actually got our expected resistance. So the speaker itself seems okay. So what's the next step? I guess I'm going to have to either A, pull the stereo out and check the wires up to the stereo, or yeah, I'd rather not do that, but it looks like that's what we'll have to do. Okay guys, I found the problem. It's luckily not the amp or the stereo that's the issue. It was a broken wire from where we'd had a splice on here to the connector that goes to the back of the speaker. So if I bring the speaker in here, hopefully it will stick to the door and not fall to the floor. There's a very thin gauge wire that came with these speakers in the kit. What I've done is cut these and splice them up to the fairly good copper wires in the van, and looking at these connectors, there's a small amount of rust. It looks like there's been a bit of moisture around this wire, and actually one of these little wires in here had perished, or it's kind of rotted away, and it seemed like the volume switching on instantaneously very strong, push enough current through there to actually blow the wire itself. So what I'm probably going to do is either put some connections, spade connections, straight onto the end of here, or actually I might just cheat and get my gas soldering iron out and solder them straight to the back of the speaker there. Well, I cheated and I soldered them straight to the back of these lugs. And you can hear the thing is now working nicely. So now I've just got to put it all back in reverse order.